Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here with you. I have been asked many times to make these kind of videos or to start a podcast or to do something where I'm just speaking. And I have been resisting it, just for numerous different reasons. But now is the time to really step into our power, to do those things that are uncomfortable. I was, concerned. Do I know enough? Am I somebody who can speak out loud to share with other people? And the truth is, we all have something to share. We all have wisdom that needs to be imparted on each other so that we can learn from one another and continue to grow. So here I am sharing my wisdom. I am really preparing for a cacao ceremony later tonight. Today is a very special day, which I'm going to be talking about. And the medicine of cacao was really speaking through me. And as I was preparing for this ceremony, I felt like it was really important to share this wisdom with everybody else. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Vinita. I am a multi-dimensional energetic healer. I'm a multi-dimensional health and wellness coach. I'm an intuitive energy healer. I am an Akashic record reader, a Reiki master. I am a disciple of the lineages of the Rose and Melchizedek mystery schools. There is so much that I can talk about in terms of what I do. But some of the most important things that I can say about myself are that I am a homeschooling mom and I am a growing and evolving individual that is constantly on this journey of becoming a better version of myself. And just a little bit about my background so that you know where I'm coming from. I have a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry, and I was in the area of healthcare communications for over a decade. I also have an MBA in pharmaceutical marketing. And, that was my life. That was my former life. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about the intersections between science and spirituality. And when I talk to you about these various different aspects of life that may not necessarily be as mainstream, it's not that they're not founded in science. We always have to remember that today's magic is tomorrow's science. Our science today was yesterday's magic. So we're continually evolving, we're continually growing. And just because we don't understand something completely or it doesn't make sense to us does not make it not true. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And what I really want to talk to you today is about what we are entering into and, or maybe I should say what we're also exiting from. So this is the end of what is known as the Lionsgate portal. And most people think about the Lionsgate portal on the days of 8/8, August 8th. It's that repeating number of 8/8. And, when people think about abundance codes using numerology, it's 888, right? So these are different aspects of numerology and, a new wisdom that's come forth. Obviously, the date of August 8th is almost arbitrary, right? Because this is based on a calendar system that is somewhat arbitrary, that was, created by people who are trying to create a certain system of being. But these are also codes that have been planned for us to be able to tap into. And it's about how we use this information and how we use this energy. So this Lionsgate portal is not just the 8/8, not just August 8th. It is a time frame which has to do with the Sirian star system. And it began on July 26th, which is considered the Galactic New Year. And it ends tomorrow on August 12th. Now, there's some variability in what days it starts and ends on. But the idea is it is this time period which is really tapping into this energy. It's also the Leo energy astrologically. And so, this is coming through this portal of this energy, of this like lion's roar, where we are really starting to speak out exactly what it is that we are seeding in for the next year and what we are celebrating. This is a time period that was revered and celebrated by the Egyptians most notably, but they're not the only only ones. And so the Egyptians, as you may know, have, the pyramids of Giza, and they are aligned with the Sirius star system and the Orion belt. And what they were celebrating during this time is this kind of galactic new year. It was a celebration of a harvest. The end of the portal was the celebration time, because this is when they were reaping all the bounty of all the seeds they had sown. It was harvest time for them. And why do we revere the Sirians so much? Well, it's like they're our galactic ancestors. They are the ones that really help to seed this human race in lots of different ways, and they're not the only ones. But they're one of the oldest civilizations that we are in contact with, that we have communication with, that is guiding us through this ascension journey. And for those of you that don't really truly understand all of this, that's okay. We're going to be getting into some more practical information that you can use in your life in order to transform yourself. But very simply, what is ascension? Ascension is simply just raising your vibratory rate, your vibratory frequency. It's moving from a lower density or a lower frequency consciousness to a higher frequency consciousness. Now, this is not to say that lower and higher is a judgment of good and bad. This is just scientific principles of how fast everything is vibrating. You can look at it in terms of emotions. When you are in a lower vibrance emotion, a lower frequency emotion, it's typically something like fear, depression, right? When you are not feeling good, you want to clam up, you want to slow down, you feel very dense, you feel very stuck in your body. The energy is not moving, it's not energizing. And so when you move into higher states of vibratory frequency, it's typically when you feel alive, when you feel blissful, when you feel happy, when you feel radiant, and you can feel that energetic difference. We are energetic beings. And so we are giving and receiving energy in multiple ways. I like to practice energy medicine, not through just energy techniques like, using my hands and using things like sound vibration. I also practice it with food. We can see what a more dense food feels like in our body compared to food that has more life force, right? When you eat something that is alive, you can feel that life force energy coursing through you. When you eat something that is packaged and been dead for a very long time, you can feel that it might taste good, but it doesn't necessarily give you that same kind of energetic feel. There's lots of different ways that we can practice this energy transfer between us and the environment. And, and so when I am making food, and when I'm making something like cacao, I am not just looking at the cacao as food as medicine, which it is a powerful medicine and a powerful teacher, but I also look at it as a form of energy transfer. And so I speak intentions into it. I play with it with sound vibrations, and I fill this up with much more than just the medicine of the plant when it comes to the cacao and the nut milks and all these things that I'm making to really bring into my body. And so today I really wanted to talk about, why this is such a special time and what we can learn from this time. So as I mentioned, it's the closing of this Lionsgate portal, but it's also today the full moon in Aquarius. And this is a super moon. You've been hearing, oh my gosh, is this another super moon? Super moons have to do with the relationship of the position of the moon to the earth. And this is when the moon appears to be the closest and the brightest. And that's why it looks like a super moon. And so this is the last of our super moons for this year. So it's really powerful and potent. It's also, as I mentioned, in the sign of Aquarius. And it's coming into the end of this Lionsgate portal. So this Lionsgate portal is about harvesting, the beautiful seeds that we've sown all year, what we've been working towards, and creating a new future. And the full moon is about really releasing all of that. We have been full. We're full now. And so what we want to do is release this energy, release this so that we can then create anew again. And with Aquarius, we have this fun, unique, quirky kind of energy within us. And it's also this idea of camaraderie. Coming together and forming community. And what we're doing is we're forming community in unique ways. We're forming new ways of thinking, new ways of moving forward. And I can't think of a better time to really start thinking about these things, because we have come out of 2 years of isolation and we're moving into a time period where things are going to continually to rapidly change. Just because, it might be the end of whatever you've been focused on for whatever period of time. I mean, you can choose whatever it is, politics, disease, whatever, maybe things are winding down. Maybe things feel a little bit lighter, and that's wonderful, but we're going to continue to evolve and change. And so we've come out of this period of isolation where we've been forced to focus on ourselves. And now we are building a new world together, a new earth, a new way of being. And so we get to really now think about how we want to create that. And we want to create it not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us, because we are not alone. We are not alone in this universe. We are not alone on this earth. No matter how alone you have ever felt, you are never alone. You are constantly surrounded. You are constantly being guided. And the more that we tune in to this connection that we have, into the rhythms of life, into the rhythms of nature, into the seasons of our own bodies, the more we will feel in harmony and in resonance with the earth. The more that we will feel in harmony and resonance with life, we will feel less resistance, and we will find that peace that we are seeking, because we will know how to coexist with ourselves, with each other, and with all of the creation of Mother Earth. So as we look to this period of time, it's really important to take stock of who you are, where you've come from, what you've done. Look at your life. You're here right now, which means you've already made it. You've already made it, because there is no time like the present. You have heard ancient traditions talk about this all the time. Indian tradition talks about this, right? There is only one time, and that time is now. That means that all these layers of who we are all acting in this moment of now. Your past self is dreaming about this right now, about who you are right now. And you now are creating your future. And this is all happening in one moment of time. So that version of you that has been dreaming about what you have achieved today is here right now. You are that person, and you get to reap the rewards of that. You get to look at your life and what you have accomplished over this past year and get to just revel in all that you've achieved. So often we focus on what is wrong, what we haven't done, what we haven't done enough of, instead of celebrating what we have done. It can be so small, but the moment you begin to celebrate what you are achieving, the more you will see your life transform, right? So this is about really creating something new, thinking differently about your life, thinking differently about how you view the world, seeing life in a new light, right? Seeing life in a different way. Now, let's just talk really briefly about cacao, only because this is what started this for me, and in terms of today, and really wanting to share this information with you. But cacao is a plant medicine. Now, I know when people think of plant medicines, they focus mostly on the ones that we know can be so helpful when it comes to internal and deep healing. Medicines like ayahuasca, medicines like psilocybin, medicines like San Pedro or iboga. There are so many, but all food is medicine. And all plants have a wisdom and a consciousness that we can learn from and we can use in order to heal ourselves and to really learn more about ourselves and to sink deeper into our beingness. Now, cacao has its own intelligence, its own consciousness. It's a powerful medicine that nourishes the soul. It expands the mind, and it also connects the human heart with the heartbeat of life itself, right? Because that is what it is. Cacao is a heart opener. It invites us to remember that we are part of a greater existence of earth, of nature, of stars, of the cosmos, and that we have a relationship with both the living and the unseen world, the seen world and the unseen world. Now, one of the most beautiful aspects about cacao is that it has the ability to connect us in our three brains, which is our mind brain, where it both calms us. I mean, think about when you have a piece of chocolate. Now, and when I say chocolate, I'm not talking about, the really commercial sugar-laden chocolates, right? This is one way cacao's power has been diluted, but you still get the effects that you would want from a chocolate piece, right? It has this way of both relaxing our mind and also stimulating us and making us feel better. It's a powerful, powerful heart opener. When you have ceremonial cacao, it will bring you deep into that portal of your heart and ask you to expand and to connect. And it also connects our gut brain, our mind, our heart brain, and our gut brain. And our gut brain is one of the most important brains, right? They call it the second brain. It is actually the location which makes the most neurotransmitters of our body that make us feel good and happy. And when our gut is happy, then our entire body system is happy, because it really is control of how we feel, how our immune system functions, how our endocrine system functions. And it is the master keeper. So cacao has the ability to connect all three. And what that does is it brings us into our lower chakras, right? The root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus. It grounds us in our lower chakras, and it raises our consciousness in our higher chakras, right? From the throat, the third eye, and the crown, and it raises our consciousness, and it's connected through the heart. Cacao is a powerful, powerful medicine. And it was considered to be the food of the gods by the Mayans and the Aztecs, right? The food of the gods. Well, who is drinking the cacao? Who was cacao left for? Where does it grow? It grows here on earth. And through the consciousness that was imparted on us, whether it was through the spirit of the plant or some greater consciousness out there, these ancient cultures learned how to take this pod, this seed pod, representing the masculine, right? Full of seed inside. They take the seed, they learned how to ferment it, how to dry it and roast it, and create this cacao, this bitter sweet nectar that then is filled into the vessel, a womb, right? Which we then intake into us. It's a combination of this masculine and feminine. And when what do? We're drinking this nectar, this food of the gods. So if it is food of the gods, and we're drinking this, then we are the gods. We are the gods. Now, I know that might be something that triggers some people, or how can we be a god? Because we've been taught to think that God is some, omniscient presence that, controls things, or there's hierarchy, or condemns us, or rewards us, or, we can't be gods. But yes, you are a god. You are a god because you came from the same thing from which God was made. There was a nothing that became a something, right? There was a nothing and it became something. Scientists call this the Big Bang. You can call it whatever you want. But the point is that we all came from the same place. We all came from the same source. And so it is just fragments of source, remembering that we are individuals, that we are creator gods. How do we create? We create with every single thought that we think, every single word that we speak out loud. We are creating our reality with our thoughts and our words. Now, as a scientist, and you don't have to be a scientist to know this phrase. I mean, people say this all the time. Maybe you've heard this, maybe you've said this, right? There's a phrase that says, I have to see it to believe it. I have to see it to believe it. And that phrase just shows how backwards our thinking has been, or how backwards that understanding of life is. So when we talk about what we are experiencing, right? What we experience, let's just take the sense of the eyes. When we physically see something, we are just seeing a small fraction of our experience. Right now, our sight is focused on physical matter. You know, our body right now, this computer, this camera screen, it's just the physical matter. This beautiful necklace of Isis that I'm wearing. But the truth is, we are not physical beings. We are energetic beings. The majority of us is space. The majority of everything we see is space. And this is scientifically shown, and it's been especially studied in quantum physics, but this is something that we understand naturally, that there is nothing but space. Now, it can be hard to grasp because we rely on our senses in order to experience this reality. And what we are relying on is the density in order to experience this reality. Now, we are just 0.01% physical matter, all right? 0.01%, which means that 99.99 whatever percent of us is space. It's space. If there was a fun fact that I had read, that if you took like all nearly 8 billion people on Earth, right? It's like 7 point something billion. And you took out all the space and you just condensed it into the physical matter, it would occupy the size of a sugar cube. You know those little tiny sugar cubes? That's how much matter is in 8 billion people. We are mostly space. So matter does not matter. So when we talk about seeing something to believe something, and we can't see the space that exists within us, then are we really truly seeing what is real, or are we seeing something else? So let's just use something very simple as an example. Colors, right? So there is a spectrum of light that exists, an entire spectrum of light that has been identified. What we call the visible spectrum of light is a tiny, narrow bandwidth within this entire spectrum of light. This is what humans can see. This is the spectrum of light. Does that mean that none of this exists? No, of course it exists, but this is all what we can see. Now let's even look at that, because there's limitations within this visible spectrum of light. What I see is going to be different from what you see, because that has to do with the photoreceptors in our eyes. My daughter, what she calls red, I call orange, and we just have to agree to disagree, because that is just what we see. This is our personal vision. So if we are seeing the reality to be different just based on that physical limitation of, our personal photoreceptors and how we translate light in our body into color, is that to say that there is only one way to see reality? No, it's going to be based on our personal biology. What else is it based for? It's based on our perceptions. Our perception is based on our belief system. Our belief system is based on what we have experienced. So our belief system is going to color our perception, which is then going to color the way we see the world. I'll give you an example. When I was a child, my early childhood was filled with violence and trauma and fear and death, and it was not a fun place to be. I was taught to be fearful of life. I was taught to be fearful of people. And as I grew up, I carried that with me. My belief was that people are scary, life is scary. I didn't want to try things. I really did not like to experience life because it was a scary place. And I drew people into me who resonated in that place, where people were taking from me, thereby perpetuating my belief system, validating my beliefs, right? I was calling it in. This is the way I saw the world, and I brought it into me. Now, over time, I eventually stepped into healing, right? I went through deep, deep, deep healing. I really rewired my biology and really, went deep into that. And I changed my belief system. I changed who I was. My core belief changed from one where I had to fear people to now being able to see that every single person is a reflection of some aspect of me, because we all came from the same place. We all came from source consciousness. Everyone was part of source consciousness. We are all gods. And what I now believe is that some of us have chosen to vibrate in lower consciousness and have done that to help others awaken. There are people who do things on this earth, or people who choose to reside there because that's where they choose to reside. That's their own soul journey. No one is evil. There are people who do bad things, and that does not condone the bad things that they do. But nobody is inherently evil. They all are here to provide the contrast so that we can know who we are. Sometimes the greatest teacher is not necessarily only learning by example, but by learning what you wouldn't do. And these are some of the greatest teachers that we have. We get to choose who we are going to be and what actions we will take to know what we want to do and what we don't want to do. Everybody else is just living on their own soul path in their own journey. And we collectively have to agree on how to coexist. Now, because my core belief about people has changed, because I don't see the fact that, that everybody is scary or the world is scary, I now am drawing angels to me. I used to have people who would take from me, and now what do I have around me are people who want to help me, people who want to support me, people who want to love me. I am surrounded by angels in my life because my core belief has changed. Because when I look out into the world, all I see are angels in disguise, angels of different vibratory rates in disguise. Sure, people still cut me off when I'm driving down the highway. It happens. Life happens. But what has changed is my reaction. I don't know what that person who cut me off on the highway is going through. Maybe they're full of road rage. Maybe they're reckless. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital for a reason. Or maybe they didn't see me because I was in their blind spot, because I know I've done that to people, right? Nobody is without fault. We all have done certain things, and it doesn't matter. They are human on their own journey, and I can't control them. Me yelling at them, me getting angry about them, me, being annoyed doesn't affect them, doesn't really do much, but it affects me. It affects my vibratory expression, it affects my vibratory rate. And then I get all like, I don't like that, and like that person cut me off. And then I share that story with somebody. Can you believe they did this? And then I share that frustration. And now the energy I'm sharing is a negative one. And instead, now, because my perception of the world has changed, and I no longer want to argue, and I no longer want to complain, and I no longer want to bring my frequency down, I have changed my reaction. My core belief about humans have changed, and it's made it easier for me to respond differently. And so now I am able to keep my vibration high. And what does that do? It allows me to rise higher and higher and higher. So your world right now is based on your internal beliefs. And your internal beliefs are going to color the way you perceive the world. And the way you perceive the world is going to help really dictate how you choose to act in a situation. Are you reacting or are you acting? When we look at our beliefs and we look out into the world today, we can choose to see something that may be different. I can tell you that you could look out into the world today and you can see disease and fear and war and food shortages and inflation and duality and people arguing and, whatever. All of this stuff is happening. Or you could look out into the world and you can see community forming. You can see abundance that's there. You can see a new way of living. You could see a rise in health consciousness. You can see people taking their power back and no longer just trusting and just going with whatever is being told. You can see people waking up. This all is going to be determined by your core belief. Who are you? What do you believe? What is the reality that you are creating based on your belief? The world is your creation. Your personal world is your personal creation. It's not that you have to see it to believe it. You need to believe it in order to see it. Because all of it exists. All of it exists out there. And what you are going to magnetize to you is that which you believe. And if you want to see it, then you better believe that it exists. If you don't believe in magic, you're not going to see magic in your life. If you don't believe in spirit guides, they're not going to connect with you. Think about the fact that DNA existed within humans since humanity existed. Rosalind Franklin, Watson, and Crick, they discovered this in the 1900s. So did DNA not exist before then? Just because people couldn't see it before all of these scientists came about and the technology came about? No, DNA was there. It existed. They couldn't see it until they had the technology and tools and until science caught up in order to be able to see it. So it's there, whether you believe it or not. So why not choose to believe in the things that empower you, that ask you to lift yourself up and to be a better version of yourself? Why not lift yourself up there? So ask yourself right now, what is it that you believe? What is it that you believe? Who are you? What is it that you see in the world? What do you choose to see in the world? When people ask, when will we see peace on earth? I respond, you will see peace on earth when you find peace within yourself. Now, that's a core teaching of so many different religions, and I never understood it until I started to really look inside instead of looking outside. I used to focus on politics and war and all of this stuff. And, I stopped watching the news about 5 years ago and, my world changed. I stopped watching media about 2 years ago and my life changed even more dramatically. You will find peace when you have created internal peace. What's internal peace? It's peace in your heart. When you stop arguing with yourself, when you stop saying, oh, I should have said that. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, regretting your decisions, thinking like living in the past and having anxiety about the future. When you stop judging yourself and how you look and how you think and what you do, when you stop judging others, when you're creating disharmony in your body. Our bodies are a microcosm of the macrocosm. What does that mean? We're little mini Earths. Our bodies are like the blueprint for what we want to see and what we create in the world, right? Our bodies are full of billions of cells that work together in harmony. We have so many systems that we label the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, and on and on and on, right? We have so many organs in our body. all of these parts, big and small, need to function together. They need to listen to each other. They need to communicate with one another in order to work efficiently. And when it doesn't, what happens? We have disease. We have disharmony. Now, imagine that your lungs just decide to stop functioning. Would you survive? No. These systems need to work together, and we need to help create that within us. We have to use our consciousness to do so. So, for example, imagine that your mouth and your brain have a desire to eat something. For me, I'm lactose intolerant, so let's use that example. I don't like dairy, but I especially don't like the effect of dairy in my body. I can tell you my mouth and my brain certainly love pizza and ice cream, something that I used to think that I could never live without. I used to think that, could never give up dairy because these were some of the foods that were just my go-to foods. Every time I would eat pizza, I would get the worst stomach ache. It was really hard on my body, and I was not pleasant to be around because I was in pain and it really sucked. And then I just, I didn't enjoy my life. When my mouth is eating something that my stomach is saying, hey, you've had that experience. That's not good for you. That's really not good. You're not going to like it. You sure you want to do this? This is really suck. I'm going to be in a lot of pain. What are we doing? Our mouth is not listening to our stomach. We're creating disharmony. We are ignoring what the part of our body is trying to say. Hey, this is affecting me. I know you like that thing, but this is affecting me. Please don't do it. This is how we are going to learn how to work with other people, with other systems of being. Because we can't do this within ourselves. Until we do this within ourselves, we will not be able to do it outside of us. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And when we learn how to create that harmony within us, then we will be able to create that harmony outside of us. We will see peace on earth when we become the embodiment of peace inside. When we have learned to master ourselves, when we have learned what it means to unify within us, to unify all of these parts of us, all of these different systems that exist to teach us about ourselves. When you've become the embodiment of your belief, you will see it in your outward life. When you've reached that 0 point state of neutrality within you, you will see it outside of you. What is all of this space that exists within us and around us and just everywhere? It is creative potential. It is creative potential. And we need to tap into this creative potential to really find new ways of being. This is what it means to live in the world, but above it. I don't know if you've heard this expression, to live in this world, but be above it. Or maybe you've heard it as the split of this earths, the separation of earth, right? There's the 3D earth and the 5D earth. There's going to be, and then already has existed, this separation. It's two places coexisting as one. This is not a separate earth necessarily. It is the same earth living in different vibrational frequencies. There will be those that are living in 3D and those that are living in 5D. There will be those that look out into the world and see one reality, and there are going to be others who look out into the world and see a completely different reality. And where we are right now, if you're listening to this, if you've gotten here, and I know you probably are listening to lots of other good people who, I've learned from too, in books and all these different things, the wisdom of ancient traditions, the amazing teachers we have nowadays. There's so many sources that we can listen to and that we can tap into and that we can find. Maybe you meditate and all these different aspects. You've gotten this far. I know you're interested, which means that you are on the 4D bridge. You are on the 4D bridge. That 4D bridge is what connects, the 3D to the 5D. It's not a permanent location in which we live. It is the heart center. It is the fourth chakra. It is the place of love consciousness. It's the place of unity consciousness. And within the heart chakra, and this is where cacao was channeling to me, right? This is the heart consciousness that we are expanding from. And it is the direction that you get to choose from as you sit on this 4D bridge within your heart. You get to create your reality with every choice you make, every word you speak, every thought that you think. Are you moving towards a 3D reality, or are you moving towards a 5D reality? Are you moving towards more density, to more separation, to more fear and division? Or are you moving into a higher resonance, into a higher frequency, into unity consciousness, peace, love, harmony? It comes from the choices that you make as you reside in this 4D consciousness. You are a creator God. You are choosing the world that you create. We are programmable beings. There is nothing that is fixed and permanent about us. Science got it wrong when they told us that we only develop neurons into a certain age and then we stop, and they discovered that they're wrong. A lot of what we have been taught has been misleading. We are creator gods living in programmable human body technology that is just the most amazing technology that this earth has ever seen. And from it, we get to create. Programmable means that yes, the system can be hijacked by the powers that be. They can keep us in separation and victim consciousness. They can, tell us what to think and give us fear porn through news and give us junk food that lowers our vibration. But the beauty is that it can be hacked by others and it can be hacked by ourselves. You do not have to feed into those systems. You get to choose your reality. You get to choose how you behave. You get to choose how you act. You can hack your own system. This is not something I'm going to get into right now because there's so much to say and I've said enough. But by changing our beliefs, we change our biology. If you simply think about it, you can think about it in a practical sense, right? If you change your belief about okay, I have to eat this because this makes me feel better. And it's a food that that maybe it makes you feel better for a little bit, but then it doesn't really make you feel good. And you change your belief to I eat high vibrational foods because they make me feel better and I'm choosing to. And, at first it might be a little bit uncomfortable because your body is going through the change. It's not used to this kind of food and it needs to develop all the enzymes and everything that it needs to get your system on board so that you enjoy this food. And then you change your belief. And you're I'm eating high vibrational foods, and suddenly your body starts feeling better, right? You've changed your biology. You've just changed your biology. Your entire system is going to change by eating this kind of food. And now by changing your biology, you've reinforced your belief system. And when you've reinforced your belief system, it's now creating other changes in your biology. When we change our belief systems, we're changing the way our DNA expresses. We're changing the way that we react. We're changing our behaviors. We're changing so much. And this is part of the science of epigenetics and all of this idea of rewiring our biology. There is so much that we can talk about in this space. And if you want to learn more, we can have a discussion about that. But for now, I just want you to understand that you create this new earth through your thoughts, through your words, and that you as a single person carry so much power because you are a creator God. Every action, thought, word that you think is influencing something and someone else, even when you think that you are not. Your energy is translating. And when you are thinking thoughts that carry you into this 5D earth, you are changing your energy frequency. You're changing your energy signature, and you are now radiating this out to others. And so you are having an impact, whether you believe it or not, because you don't need to see it to believe it. You need to believe it to see it. So I just want to end right now by asking you to take this moment to think about, what is it that you are seeing here on earth? What do you believe in that is going to be in the creation of this new earth, this 5D consciousness? What are you creating? What are you forming? What is it that you are seeing happening? And what are you going to feed into? For me, I feel that I am creating an earth and I am seeing an earth based on community that coexists with nature, that coexists with the soil, with the animals, with the plants, that is in cycle with nature, that is in harmony with nature, so that we are coexisting together, that we learn how to be in this continuous cycle that exists not only within the planet, but in the greater galaxy and beyond, so that we are learning how to flow with life. I see it happening already, and I'm tapping into this even more and more and creating these systems. So think about what it is that you are creating. Use this supermoon, this powerful, potent supermoon, this full moon in Aquarius, to really just let go of those limiting beliefs, anything that's holding you back, anything that's niggling you, any challenges that you have. I ask you to just release it out into the world, release it out into the earth. And then use this potent energy to really call in, to create, to plant the seeds, to create a new way of being, something unique, something new, something that you haven't done before. For me, I'm starting with doing this video. This is something that is definitely stepping outside of my box, outside of my comfort zone, something that I have toyed with again and again. And now I'm making this commitment to myself that I am going to do these. Maybe the format will change. Maybe how I do it will change, but I am making this commitment to myself. And this is how I am stepping out of my comfort zone, creating something new, thinking a little bit differently, not putting myself down with any sort of negativity or baggage or anything like that to create this new earth. And you can do this for yourself. So think new thoughts, speak words of empowerment, share information of empowerment, lift each other up. You are that 4D bridge. You are a creator God, and you get to create your reality. What are you creating? Please let me know. Share below, subscribe, follow me, and just comment and interchange with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you are creating. I'm so happy to be in this new earth with you.